going to the dirty tomorrow and I want to have some ability to studio. Okay. Alright. Okay, everyone open up to the service schedules for me. And what we're going to do, let's just run through. On everyone, what do you reckon the first part is? And I'm talking whether or not we get to fire extinguishers, hose reels, fire blankets, fire indicator panels, fire doors, emergencies.
Can you get to it?
Can you see it? Accessibility. Okay. So accessibility is one of the biggest things out there that we need to be able to do. Okay. OTOP, did you stuff for Rio Tinto? No? Yeah, Rio? Okay. So for the likes of BHP and Rio, especially Rio Tinto, let's have a look down here. So here we have our yellow line marked. Yeah? Rio do it very well. In fact, they go beyond the standard. So they have their set generally 1 square metre around the fire equipment. Okay? They also have not only our indicator plates, but on their fire extinguishers, each of the backing has red and white behind it. So they exceed the standard, and they're allowed to do that. Okay? So they all know very well that that's your fire equipment area. Keep it clear, keep it accessible. Some go to the point, fire equipment, do not block. You know, that's fine. We just do a visual one, yellow light. Yeah? Okay? So what we're aiming for in all of our fire equipment is that accessibility. So good. Can you see it? With our fire indicator panel, so our indicator plate, David will talk to you, what minimum height does that need to be? 2 metres. Okay, so some rationale about that. Hey Robert, how you going? Just a bit of rationale. When we walk into a building, okay, and the idea is whether or not it's warehouse, whether it's Bunnings or anything like that, is we should be able to stand somewhere in the middle and go, oh, fire hose. Okay? That's the whole idea of at least 2 metres. Okay? In our most basic form, in our most simplistic form, you know, and remember Australian standards are written trying to take into account everything. Okay? They're not written for one particular industry. And it's probably the hardest thing that I try and have to explain to people. They're not just written for mining, it's not just written for construction. They try and write it to take into account everyone, which is quite difficult. Okay? So that's the sort of rationale behind it. I'm standing in the middle of the room. At some point in time, somewhere, I should be able to see, hopefully, a fire indicator back there. So accessibility. So let's talk it through. Okay? Check that the extinguisher is conspicuous, readily accessible, and in its assigned location. Now, when we do this, okay, you need to take note of the text underneath. So what does that say? All extinguisher types. Okay? Now, I should think about table 8 for our hose reels, but I'll use our hose reel here as an example. Okay? So if that was my extinguisher hanging up there, okay, regardless of what extinguisher type it is, it should be accessible. Okay? Cool. Alright, so now let's revert back to bring my phone up, okay, and imagine now, so what I do is 1.1, done, yep, good, clear, excellent, tick, or radio button, iPad, however, yep, good, okay. 1.2, check that the anti-tamper device is intact. Look, good question, you can. And if you're going to do that, okay, what we do, yeah, absolutely, through here. Sometimes it requires a tool, okay? And do you know what? See this 10-cent bit of equipment? Yeah. It's amazing when that's on there, people walk up and it's the difference between going, is that the wash card? No one will know. Or going, if I break that, I'm amazing. Okay? If I break that, and that's sitting on the ground, someone's going to ask questions. So I do even recommend it. It's not in the service, but I do recommend it on hoses. If you want to change behaviours and you want to be absolutely certain that this only ever gets used in the fire, some anti-tamper seals around there will ensure that comes. Okay? So, it's there. Now, I want you to bring out your service tag when you do it as well. I just want to get you to go back. See on our one, what we did, and this is just leading to your question with that, towards the middle, see here AT seal, okay, anti-tamper seal. We actually put that in, alright? So I put that there and I do, that's just a simple either yes or no or a tick or a cross against it. And again, that's the difference on for a couple of reasons. Number one is if you're doing it electronically, you can track how many parts you use. So it's large organisation things now, okay, I've had to replace the anti-tamper seal, whether it was because it was just missing, whether it has been tampered with, whether it was, the weather, so it had, been sun damaged or stuff like that. But as soon as you start doing it, what you're also doing is cataloguing how many parts you're using, okay, which is good from a purchasing, warehousing point of view, okay? So that's an on there for us, and you might put comments there, found the anti-tamper seal at the base of the floor, looks like hose reel, looks like extinguisher may have been tampered, because you pick it up, or so I get to the point now where I take it off, that's empty. Well, this has been used. Wow. Okay, now we've got some issues. Right? Okay, so that's on there. Alright, 1.3, exterior and operating instructions. Check that the extinguisher is clean and the operating instructions are legible, all extinguisher types. Pretty cool. Alright, so what we're going to do now is, so on here, I'll show you a range of them. Here's a couple I prepared earlier. What do you reckon? Tick? Yep. Okay. Yeah, operating instructions. What are these called again? Pictographs. Okay. So a couple of mandatories I want you to take away out of this. Pictographs need to be there and need to be read. Okay? If you cannot tell with them, gone. Out of service. Alright? And again, our bundles, blackboards, blah blah blah. You know what? You can actually get stickers for these. Alright? And you can replace them. Beautiful. Have them in your kit if you need to. As long as you know what extinguisher class it is. Okay? And our things like, okay, basic instructions. 1, 2, 3. Yep, good. You can read some instructions on it. What do you reckon of this one? By the way, now I've got my rag, okay? And this is where, so if this was hanging, okay, what I do is the first two, yep, I now take the extinguisher off and I bring it down, I pull my rag out, and I'm at the point where the first thing I do is I pull my rag out and I pull it. Okay? And I clean this area up and then I go. Obviously you're going to know. If I now went up to an extinguisher like this, you reckon I'm going to get past 1.1?
Nope.
I'm going to take that straight up and go, see you later, and pull a new one out, okay? And I'm not even going to worry with this sucker, okay? But just for the purposes, have a look at this. Yeah, we're starting to get. It's a little bit there, but I would have at least, off this one, replaced the pictographs. Okay? Absolutely, at the bare minimum, Probably clean that up. The rest of the place here is actually not too bad. Pick the graphs need replacing. Okay? So I'm trying to give you some really good reference about when you're in the field and you come across them, okay, where we need to be in our tolerance range. Okay?
You can buy the whole labels?
Yeah, you can. So, and the really important thing is knowing, and why also I've put on there, alright, I'm going to give you rationale for everything. Please pick my brains while I'm here. Go back to my one that I've designed here. Have a look as we go across the top. NO stands for number. That's the extinguisher number. Okay? Size. Okay? 9 litre. So in here I would write 9 litre. Okay? Now, type. WSP, water stored pressure. FSP, foam stored pressure. DCP, CO2. Okay? Now, look at this. Brand. Okay? And this is heading to that. Okay? So, we look, and where did these ones? I think this is a flame stop or someone else. Okay? Really important. We've got these sheets for mercury. Alright, might be a mercury owned one. But here's a, okay. WA fire protection brand. Okay. Fire World. What have we got here? Maybe Chubbs. Someone else. Might be Flame Stop. You've got to look on there. Okay. Look for who the manufacturer is, because that's going to determine in my book what the instruction labels are, if we've got them and all those sort of things. Okay. But generally, what you can be assured of, pictogram equals pictogram. There is no difference. If you've got the right ones, but on some of them, you can replace, the instruction label. Okay? Now, if you're going to do that, please remember, try and do it best and take the lot off and replace it with a new one. What I don't want to see is labels over the top of labels and all that sort of stuff, so that anyone could be confused. Okay? Always think about that. Alright, so we do that. So that's sort of the tolerance that we allow for on there, and the brand helps us determine, you know, whether we've got the right one for it. Okay? So I take that off, I put it down here. I have now my service record with me, and I have my AS 1851, and I've given that a white, and I would even start doing things like this. Now, by me taking it off, as I just said, how much do you reckon this should weigh? Oh, a bit more, about 12 and a half, okay? 9 kilos net. Yeah, okay, so there's 9 litres of water in there, okay? Gross mass, and this is why, again, when we come to it, come around. Overall mass fire extinguisher, 13 kilos. Alright, but to me, straight away, at least, as I've taken that off, does that feel at least like 9 kilos? And the answer is yeah, it feels heavier. Cool. I don't even have to worry about the scales at this stage. But two things, anti-tamper seal at the bottom, and I take it off. Oh, this has been used. Stop. Stop now. No point going forward. Grab another one, go back, and I go to my service schedule. Okay? And I go across here. Was it missing? Well, no, it wasn't, but did we have to replace right next to it and install? I'm going to now do an install and a changeover. In my comments said was used, was left on there, signs of it being used, okay? And I'm going to replace it with another one on there. And then you might even go back and go, well, I'm going to do a level 5 on it, if you can. Recharge it and bring it back out, but never leave an extinguisher not there, okay? Always have replacements ready to go, okay? But sometimes, look, if you have to go back to the warehouse and it's 15 minutes, well, so be it. But if you need to go back, and let's say, for instance, it was a foam stored pressure, and then do a whole service and recharge and that, at least replace it with something of equivalent. So you can generally get away with at least temporarily putting a 9 kilo AED in there. Alright, which is sort of our best all-round extinguisher. Okay?
Or the option is if you're going to go do a service, you take one of each.
If you've got those